The United States' newest nuclear stealth bomber made its public debut today after years of covert development. The stealth bomber's public debut is also part of the Pentagon's response to growing fears of a future conflict with China. The B-21 Raider is the first new U.S. bomber in more than 30 years. Almost every aspect of the program is kept secret. Ahead of its opening Friday at an Air Force facility in Palmdale, California, only images of the artist's renderings of the aircraft were released. Some of the images reveal that the Raider resembles the black nuclear stealth bomber that the B-2 Spirit eventually replaced. However, on this day, the Raider stealth nuclear bomber is grayish-white. The bomber is part of the Pentagon's efforts to modernize all three legs of its nuclear triad, which includes silo-launched nuclear ballistic missiles and submarine-launched warheads. The U.S. itself has, over the past decades, shifted from counterterrorism campaigns to catch up with China's rapidly modernizing military. China is on track to have 1,500 nuclear weapons by 2035. Its achievements in hypersonics, cyber warfare, space capabilities, and other fields present the most important and systemic challenge to U.S. national security and a free and open international system. The Pentagon said this week in its annual China report. We needed new bombers for the 21st century that would allow us to deal with much more complex threats, like the threats we feared we would one day face from China, Russia, said Deborah Lee James, then Air Force Secretary. The Raider contract was announced in 2015. The B-21 Raider is more survivable and can deal with these much more difficult threats. The warden couldn't go into the specifics of the technology, but said the bomber would be more stealthy. When we talk about low observability, it is very low observability, said the warden. You will hear it, but you really won't see it. 6 B-21 Raiders are in production. The U.S. Air Force plans to build 100 units that can deploy nuclear weapons or conventional bombs, and can be deployed with or without a human crew. Both the U.S. Air Force and Northrop also point to the Raider's relatively rapid development. The bomber went from order to deployment contract in just 7 years. Programs for new fighter planes and other ships took decades. The price of the bomber is unknown. The Air Force previously priced the purchase of 100 aircraft at an average cost of $550 million each in 2010, roughly $753 million today. But it's unclear how much the Air Force actually spent. It's easy to tell that the B-21 is still on schedule before it actually flies, because problems can only be discovered when one of these programs enters the actual testing phase. And that's the point when schedules really start to slip and costs really start to increase, he warned. The Raider won't make its first flight until 2023. However, using advanced computing, Warden said, Northrop Grumman has tested the Raider's performance using a digital twin, a virtual replica of the one currently being launched. The B-2 was also expected to make up a fleet of over 100 aircraft, but the U.S. Air Force ultimately built only 21 of them. This was due to cost overruns and the changing security environment after the fall of the Soviet Union. Fewer than that were ready to fly because of the significant maintenance requirements of the aging bomber, said Todd Harrison, an aerospace specialist and managing director at Matria Strategic Insights.